Okay, so this is your 8.5 additional vocab support. And again, we're talking about compositions of rigid transformations. So this has your example with reflecting across x equal 1 composed with translating 0, 2. Just as a reminder, you want to do the right side first, and you want to do this side second. So you're going to do the translate first, and then you're going to reflect. You always do the right side first. And then these are the note cards, so to speak. This didn't show up good, so if you want to extend that. So below here, it has a place for you to write, but we're just going to leave all these blank, and we're just going to number them like we have before. It's a little simpler. Okay, so our first step is to do the translation, and we're doing 0, 2, which means go up to. So like here, for example. And so the first thing is write your rule to use for the translation. 0, 2 maps each xy to x, comma, y plus 2. So we're not going left or right any, and we're going up to. So this is going to be our first one. So just put a 1. And so once you have the rule, then you actually plot your points. So find the image for the translation, and so just move up to and so forth. So this is going to be your second note card, so to speak, the second step. And then let's do that here, going up to, I'm going to call this A prime, this B prime, and this C prime. So that was our step 2. Now we want to connect the dots. And that's draw the translation image of the triangle. So the translation image was from the translation moving up. The next step is graph the line of reflection, x equal 1, because if we're done with this side, then we've got to do this. So you do your x equal positive 1, which looks like that. And so that's step 4. Step 5 would be find the images. So what we do is you count here to your line of reflection. So this is 1, 2, 3 units over to your line of reflection. So then you go 1, 2, 3 units over to right there. That's going to be our A double prime. And again, you go 2 units here, so you go 2 units here for your C double prime. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I did that too low. My mistake right there. Here was C prime, so I needed C double prime to be up here. Okay. So here we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. So then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units over here. And so this is your B double prime. Then you connect your dots. So we found our dots, and then we connected them. So this is step 6. Any questions? Okay. So like what we did is we took steps and we called this A prime and then this A double prime, which is the actual answer. Now when they did it, they have their A, B, and C here, and they didn't label anything for this, and then they labeled A prime, B prime, and C prime there, and so they had this as their final answer. So it ends up being the same thing, but that's the final result. So that's the final, just like this is our final. So it's the same idea. Our next part is the reteaching, and just like in the notes that we talked about earlier, two congruent figures can be mapped by a reflection, a composition, or a glide reflection, which is when you do a translation and a reflection. Compositions of two reflections could either be a translation or a rotation. If it's across two parallel lines, it'd be a translation, and if it's intersecting, it's rotating. And usually 180 in that case. So they're reflecting the arrow across L and then across M. So then that appears like a translation going down. And then on this one, they're reflecting across L and then reflecting across M. So that looks like your 180-degree rotation. And on this one, they're showing you your glide reflection. So you're going to slide and then flip. Okay, so those are just examples you can read through. Remember that you do the right side first and you do the left side second. So you work inside out, so to speak. Okay. And here's an example where they're moving it and flipping, so that's a glide reflection. And what we're going to do now is instead of using this figure, we're going to use paper clips, and this is where you're going to use this paper. We're going to follow those instructions by going 4 onto 6, but we're going to use paper clips. Looks like one thing I forgot to do was label them. So let's call this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So go ahead and label those. Notice you have line A and B are vertical and C and D are horizontal. Okay, so to start with, what we have is it shows a figure that's in box 5, and then the directions say describe the transformation when you're going from 4 to 6. So let's start in 4 and just make it like that. I'm not going to draw on it, I'm just going to like move it. So if we go from 4 to 6, it would look like that, and you do the same thing on yours. So when we do that, that's called a translation. So on here we put translation. Four to 6 was a translation. Okay? So then the next one says figure 1 onto figure 2. Figure 1. And I know you could just say, well, that's going to be a translation also, but they want you to learn all the different things. And so if you go like this and then reflect it, the reflection would look like that. And that's what we actually want. So what we're going to do on this is we're going to say reflect, so capital R across A, and then the word is reflection. The word is reflection. So reflect across A, so RA, reflection. So that's when it goes Let me actually use two of these. That's when it goes from what we originally had, which was like this, and then flipping. So that's a reflection. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, our next one is we're going 7 onto 5. So 7's here. Let me move this down a little bit. Okay, 7's there, and we're going to go to 5. So this is going to be, yeah, you can slide up and then flip, or you could just call it a rotation. So it would look like that. So the original would then flip, like rotate 180. So we're going to call this a rotation 180 degrees. And remember, the rotation 180 is the same as, I guess I'll put that over here, same as reflect twice. A rotation 180 is the same as reflecting twice. So again, like I did, we could have reflected across this one to make it like that, and then reflected again to make it like that, and the end result is like a 180 rotation. That is not wanting to stay still. There. Okay, well, very good. Our next one says 2 onto 9. So we would start like this, and then 9 is down here, so we would slide down and then flip. Yeah, that's your glide reflection. Glide reflection. Glide reflection. So that's if you're translating and then flipping. Okay. The next one is 1 onto 5. So 1 onto 5. So what you could do, well, I guess we usually had it like this. You could translate it and then flip it. So that's going to be like this. Let me pause this for a second. Okay, so what you can do is reflect across it this way, and then reflect across again, and that ends up being the equivalent of a 180 rotation. So over here you're going to have rotation 180, which was the same as reflect twice. Any questions? Okay, then on the next one we have 6 onto 7. So we're going to start this way, and you can think of moving it and then flipping it. Yeah, that's a glide reflection. Glide reflection. And then when we go 8 onto 9, it's going to start like this, and then it's going to flip across, reflect across B. R, B. Oh, I did this in the wrong spot. 8 and 9, that's R, B, which is a reflection. And then finally we have 2 onto 8. Two, and then looks like if we just move that down, that's a translation. Okay, I'm going to pause the video for a moment. Looks like you didn't have to write on your paper, so I'm going to want that back. And your paper. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we have to use the point 2, 3 and map it to P prime by the given glide reflections, and then say what are the coordinates. It says hint, it may help to graph. So that's what we're going to do. So for number 9, the problem says R x-axis, reflect across the x-axis, composed with translate 3, -2. And our original point is at 2, 3. So that's what our problem is. So what we're going to start with is just drawing an axis, and then label the point 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So here's our point. So we're calling that P. So our first step would be do your translation 3, -2. And so we're going to indicate this part with P prime, and then our final answer is P double prime. So first we're going to go 3, -2. So that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So this is P prime, and that ordered pair is 5, 1. I guess I'll label all my points. P was 2, 3, and then after doing this we went to 5, 1, and now we need to reflect across the x-axis, which is horizontal. And so then if this distance is 1, then this distance is 1. So we get P double prime is 5, -1. And so that's our answer. If you put everything on this page, that's fine. Or if you just want to write on here, 5, -1. But I do want to see your graph. So it's either do both or just do the graph. So I don't just want to see an ordered pair answer, I want to see the graph. Okay, number 10. The problem is reflect across the y-axis and translate -4, 2. So what we're going to start with is start at 2, 3. So start here, that's P. And then the translate part is the P prime, the reflect part is the P double prime. And so we're going to do -4, that means left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 2. So here's P prime. And then we want to reflect across the y-axis. So I'm going to extend this a little bit, and it's 2 units away, so then we want 2 units away here. So we started with 2, 3. We ended up at 2, 5. And this other one was 2 minus 4, which is negative 2, and 3 plus 2, which was 5. So we went from 2, 3 to negative 2, 5, and then flipped and turned into 2, 5. Any questions? So then this one's your answer. Okay, on this one, you're doing reflect y equal x, composed with translate 0, negative 3. So again, this is going to be our P prime, and this is going to be our P double prime. Make sure you're far enough down give about 10 spaces approximately, not just for 11 but for 12. So give some room there. So 2, 3 is P. That's our original. And then this is telling us don't go left or right any, but go down 3. And so P was 2, 3, and we're going 1, 2, 3 units down. So this is P prime, which is 2, 0. Now they want you to go across y equal x. So remember, that's when you have a slope of 1, and it's going to go straight through all those. So if you remember what we've been doing, you can extend your line like this and make a right angle. But what we usually just do is we say switch x and y. If you switch x and y, you change from 2, 0 to 0, 2. So P double prime is 0, 2. So again, you can visualize it by making your right angle symbol, and then this length is the same as this because it's the perpendicular bisector. But what we usually just say is switch x and y. So that's going to be your answer. So you end up at 0, 2. Any questions? Okay, then our last one, this says reflect across y equal 4. And that's why you're going to need like so much space, because you're going to flip pretty high up. And we're also translating negative 2, negative 3. Okay, so again, our original point was at 2, 3. And we want to go left 2, down 3. Left 2, down 3. That gets you to the origin. So P prime is 0, 0. So that's the P prime part. And then the P double prime part is reflecting across y equal 4. So remember, y equal 4 would be a horizontal line. And so what you do is, from here down, you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So then from this line, you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4 units. And so that makes it 0, 8. P double prime 0, 8. Any questions? Okay, so then that's the end of that. I'd like you to staple these together and then turn that in.